How's it going, everybody? Chris here, and welcome back to the Casual Gamer. Today, honestly, I'm not really sure how to even start with this video. This is very late. It's a long time coming. I've been working on this for a minute, playing the game, talking myself up to play the game, which has taken the longest part. The making of the video, not so much, but just playing the game has taken a little while. Just so you guys know, this is going to have spoilers, okay? It's been out for a minute. You guys have probably watched a lot of videos about this. You probably don't care for the most part if this has spoilers, but it's going to. So if you don't care about spoilers or anything like that, please don't watch this video because you're going to get spoiled here. For those of you who don't know, and probably most of you, I'm going to keep this video pretty casual, just like the name suggests. I don't have a script. I do have some bullet points of what I want to talk about just so I don't miss anything, but I keep this pretty chill, and that's how most of my videos are going to be going forward. Okay, I just want to have a conversation, and I don't necessarily want it to be, super fixed on a script of what I'm going to say. So obviously I'm going to edit some of the uhs and buts and this and that and all the weird stuff I say, just to clean it up a little bit, but I'm not going to script anything on this, okay? So that being said, like I said, I don't really know where to begin with this, but let me just say, like, when Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League when it was first revealed, I was very hyped for this. I thought it was going to be great. Obviously, we didn't know what to expect when it first came out, and yeah, we were all a bit surprised when it turned out to be what it was. I don't think any of us really expected it to be a looter shooter when it was first revealed, but that's what we got. And here's the thing. I don't necessarily hate this game to its core. Okay, there's a lot about this game that I don't like, and there's a lot about this game that very much disappointed me. But there is some stuff about it that I do like, and I think there is some good elements in there. I don't think this game is the worst game ever made that a lot of people are saying it is. I don't think it's great either. We'll talk about some of the stuff of what I like and dislike later on. But there are some things I do like, and there's some things that I don't like. Okay, so let's break it down, and let's just start with a little bit on the story, okay? Which, by the way, I should say, the gameplay that you're seeing in this is all after the game's been beaten, the main story. It's just grinding in-game content, so you're just going to see missions and me doing whatever, and we'll talk about it. There's some stuff I'll put up there that we're definitely going to talk about, but for the most part, just so you guys know, it's not the main story or anything like that. It's not early game, it's all late game stuff. Starting with the story, a lot of you guys know this already, that the story it's disappointing. I don't hate it as much as a lot of people do, but I hate it, okay? Nothing about the story makes sense in this game. The whole time I'm playing it, and those of you who played this, you'll probably thinking the same thing, or you will think it if you do play it. The whole time I'm playing through this story, I can't wrap my mind around the fact that the Justice League couldn't do this. Everything Brainiac throws at you, I'm like, I think Batman could do this by himself. I don't necessarily think Superman or Wonder Woman or Flash or Green Lantern would struggle with this. Not a chance. So when you're playing through the story, which there are moments in the story that I do like. I like some of the dialogue, some of the banter between the characters I found enjoyable. I thought some of the stuff they said was funny, and some of the stuff they did was funny. But for the most part, this is basically the story, right? It's Suicide Squad. Waller breaks you out of jail, but basically has you guys work for her, and you take out the Justice League. You have really not that great fights with the Justice League. Once they're out of the way, you fight Brainiac, who just turns into the Flash, and you fight him again. And that's it. That's it. And then you grind to face more Brainiacs in the future. The issue with it, really, like, there's a lot of issues with it, but when you're playing through the story, again, going back to my earlier point, it's like, I don't understand how the Justice League would have been defeated by any of this, which, by the way, the game doesn't tell you how the Justice League got mind controlled by Brainiac. Because I'm telling you right now, if it's the same way that Brainiac is attacking you. I don't know. I feel like they made the Justice League extremely weak in this, and part of me feels like the reason they don't tell you how they got mind controlled by Brainiac is because they don't even know how they would write that to make it make sense, and then have you fight what they've already prepared for you to fight. And like, man, wait a minute, this is easy as hell. How did the Justice League lose to this? And it just doesn't make sense. On top of that, there's no way in hell the Suicide Squad, I'm sorry, is taking out the Justice League. Controlled by Brainiac or not, there's no way they're doing it, okay? Sorry. When Batman's taken out half of them already, I don't think adding King Shark or Captain Boomerang is going to help very much, whether they're mind controlled by Brainiac or not. And the game, Batman defeats you in the game. He takes flashback, you know, like he has no problem taking you out. But then all of a sudden he decides to change his strategy when you actually fight him. Some fear toxin BS, and Harley is always say like, oh yeah, this doesn't work. Yeah, whatever. And it allows you to fight Batman. It's like, well, you should have just did what you did in the first place and just be Batman, and you would have won. But the story does a lot of things. Like there are some moments, like I said, that are funny, that are kind of interesting, but most of it, I feel like anybody who is a fan of these DC stories could probably write a better story that would kind of make sense. And I think it starts too with, this shouldn't have been a Suicide Squad game. This should have been a Justice League game. This could have even been a Gotham Knights game, where you just played as Nightwing and Batgirl and Robin and did all this with them, without guns, of course, like actually with their abilities, and that would make more sense. It would be at least a little more believable if it's like, hey, you're the Gotham Knights, you're trying to, maybe you go and fight Batman and you break him out of the control, and then he's helping you get the rest of the Justice League back. Which, on top of the story with that, obviously we've all seen the spoilers, we've all seen the leaks, the rumors that the Suicide Squad's not actually, or excuse me, the Justice League's not actually dead, or they're clones, or they're going to be brought back to life, or whatever it is that they're going to do. And there's a lot of hints to that on both sides. There's hints to it not being the Justice League and them being clones, and I can also see that being the Justice League and being revived or something, because I think they will come back. I'm leaning towards them coming back. I don't think they're going to just permanently kill them off, but there are two sides of that. If they do bring them back, it's kind of going to be like, okay, well, it doesn't change what you did in the original game. Whether they come back in season 2, 3, 4, whatever, it doesn't change the negative press that you've gotten with the main game. It doesn't change that a lot of players aren't going to come back. Like, you've already lost them. Okay, and a lot of people aren't going to come back, even if you're like, hey, Batman's not actually dead. People are going to be like, I don't care. You know? Because it may not be voiced by Kevin Conroy, number one, as Batman. You know, so if that's something that's important to you, which I'm a big Kevin Conroy fan, that's my Batman. Even though the story is like, I think I completed it in 10 hours, I just wanted to get through it. You know, by the time I played it, I knew how the Justice League all died. I knew all that. I didn't care. I just pushed through. Now, I will say this. This is kind of leaping forward a bit. I don't think the boss fights are quite as bad as they're led to believe. They are simple. They are easy. I think I only lost once to the Superman fight, and that was just because I couldn't tell where he was, and so I just kept getting hit by stuff. But they are easy. They're very simple. Most of them, like, you definitely expect more from the Justice League. You're like, yeah, now I understand why you lost to Brainiac. You guys suck. Like, they act like a C-tier team. I feel like in this story, it sums up to this. If you gave Superman a gun, he would beat everybody. He'd beat Brainiac, never would have been under their control. You gave the Justice League guns, no problem. Because that seems to be the only difference. Okay, the Justice League couldn't defeat Brainiac, so what's the difference? Oh, well, the Suicide Squad, they're weaker, but we give them guns now. So the fact that they have guns, they're better. They can beat the Justice League. They can beat Brainiac. Just give them a gun. It doesn't matter that Superman has super strength or heat vision. Nope, doesn't matter. Give him a gun. Then he can do it. Then he'll beat Brainiac. The other thing that's interesting is they try to explain it like, oh, you can beat the Flash. You use this device, slows him down, you know, so you can fight him. Previous to that fight, you watch him basically rip Lex Luthor's heart out. Then you fight him, you use, you know, Boomerang uses his little device, slows down the Flash, but he's still fast as shit. When you do the boss fight, he's still zipping around really fast. He can still rip your heart out very easily. So it's kind of like, you see the Flash do these amazing things, and then they can't really figure out how to way to write it where it makes sense to do a boss fight with him. Like, this game would make more sense if you were trying to kill the Justice League, but it's kind of the, like, that's the title of it, but you're not really going to kill them. You're going to have to turn them. You're going to have to break them out of the, you know, Brainiac's control. But it doesn't fit because it's a looter shooter. You're not going to, like, you're not going to play as Flash. You're not going to play as Batman. It doesn't fit that they're all doing their cool fighting stuff and you're sitting there shooting at them. Or shooting at enemies. Yeah, I guess it makes sense for Deadshot, and it kind of makes sense for Harley Quinn. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know that much about Captain Boomerang or King Shark. Probably doesn't make that much sense for them. But still, you know, okay, whatever. I can see most of that cast using guns. And you know the DLC characters, that's what they're going to have to do. They're going to be characters that you would imagine or could think about using guns versus superpowers, right? But anyways, that's thoughts on the story there. I know that was kind of a rant and all over the place with that, but the story was disappointing. And it was very predictable. There was some stuff that's funny, but it wasn't that good. And yes, the character deaths, they suck. Most of them suck except for Wonder Woman, and we'll talk about that later. But it doesn't do any of them real justice. No pun intended. And I understand you're playing as villains. I'm not needing them to be respectful to the heroes because it makes sense that they wouldn't be respectful because they're villains. But you could, I think that comes down to the game having better boss fights and just better scenes in general to make it where if they're gonna die, it's like, okay, that was good. You know, it sucks that they're gone, but it's like, I can buy that. Okay. Not this, they run in a circle, I shoot them, and then he just slumps over and dies. You know, that's stupid. But yeah, moving on to the gameplay. Okay, this is where some of the stuff I do like and some of it still that I don't. I actually like the gunplay. I thought the gunplay and the traversal was actually pretty fun. It's punchy, it's quick, and part of it, that's really what kept me going. I'm just going through the story so I could just shoot stuff, okay? However, there's a caveat to that. This game likes to slow you down in the gunplay. I don't know why they did this, but they did. A lot of the side missions, especially really the ones that have you unlock new things, like the Penguin stuff, the Lex Luthor stuff, Hack stuff, they have like little challenges or modifiers, I guess you could say, on the side missions, where it's basically, hey, you can only kill enemies with grenades. Hey, you can only kill enemies doing counter hits or critical hits. And so you'll have moments where some of them are easy, but you'll also have some moments where you'll probably see in this video where I'm running out of ammo with trying to do critical hits and I'm barely getting anywhere. There's tons of enemies. I'm getting shot all over the place and I don't have the means to take out these enemies because I need critical hits and it's not doing that much. Now, mind you, in the gameplay, King Shark wasn't my main character, so he's lower level doing this. But even with Harley, it's like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to take forever. Like, let me just fight. You know, why are you slowing me down? Like, I would understand them doing this if this was a Riddler challenge or something where you're trying to get a high score by doing all these fancy stuff. Not in a regular mission. Like, let me just play. Let me use all my abilities. Let me do everything that I want to do. Don't slow me down. And you'll see that a lot with the side missions. I was doing them through the story. I'm still finishing them up and doing them after the story. And I'm just like, yeah, like, I don't really care what this is going to unlock for me. It's not worth it. So even though I like the gameplay and the traversal for most of the characters, I've only really played Harley and King Shark because I might do Deadshot eventually. And Captain Boomerang just doesn't interest me at all. And that comes down to this game in general, the gameplay. You'll notice a theme in this. A lot of this is held back on the fact that it's a looter shooter. This game shouldn't have been a shooter. It shouldn't have been. They would have had much more freedom to do cool and exciting things if they would have just focused on the characters themselves and their abilities and not just, hey, you're a big fish with a gun. You're a clown girl with a gun. You're Deadshot. Of course, you have guns. You have a boomerang and you're Australian and you have a gun. It's like it's not exciting. And a lot of this too is the problem with the progression system. It's not fun. When you level up, you unlock, you have skill trees, which are set. You know, you can't really just build a tree and unlock different things on that tree. You go one by one by one across the tree. You basically can select one thing in each row. And on top of that, most of them are dumb anyways. It's like, hey, when you hit 10 combo or 20 combo or 30 combo or 50 combo, you get this stat buff. And it's like, okay, like that's not fun. Like I don't care that the numbers are going to change. Versus like the 2 or 3 skills that you unlock that actually are an ability. It's like, this is cool. This is what it should be, is unlocking new abilities, new cool things. I don't know. For all I care, make King Shark be able to dual wield Gatling guns or some crazy stuff. I don't know. Like have fun with it. You know, make them unique and different. And the game just doesn't do that. It doesn't make you feel like you're actually playing individual characters. It just feels like you're playing a different skin that can carry a bigger gun or a smaller gun, you know, with a little sprinkle of, you know, what makes them unique. But that's it, you know? So a lot of that stuff just bothers me. And as far as the content of the game goes, again, I've barely gotten into the end game, so I can't speak too much for that. But outside of main missions, right, you have the side missions like we talked about that aren't that fun. And the mission variety usually is you're either escorting somebody, you're going and playing Pokemon with civilians. Yeah, just blowing up stuff, killing stuff, which some of it's not bad. I don't mind that. You know, I don't mind just going and, hey, eliminate these enemies, collect data shards, return them to the truck, whatever. But you do that for hours and eventually it's going to get boring. Nothing in the world changes to make it interesting. You know what I mean? Like going to Helldivers. Let's just look at Helldivers for example. So far, I barely played that game and it's already way more fun. Okay, the enemies that spawn, just the way that they act, the way that they move, the way that you fight them, like the combat encounter itself is a lot more enjoyable. In this, it doesn't, like, the gunplay's fun, but the encounter itself is kind of like, okay, like, yeah, I guess it's fun, I guess it's fine, but it's not something I want to do a whole lot. The enemy types, like, yeah, you have basically Brainiacs, purple minions. Some are fast, some are big and strong, some have armor, they have tanks and helicopters, I guess. Yeah, there's just nothing like super creative or interesting. Talking about this game, you guys are probably listening to this and be like, wow, he sounds bored. I'm like, yeah, because this game bores you. It really does. And I was pushing really hard. Like I said, I'm still gonna play it because I want to at least play into maybe the first season or two and see if things change. So I kind of want to be caught up for that, or at least be at a high level for it. So I'm hoping that things get better. What they may not, but one can hope, right? Oh, and by the way, you're only going to be in Metropolis. There's no new areas that open up yet. You're going to be in the same little map area. That's probably like 1,500 meters in game distance, like from whatever furthest point you're going to go to, maybe like 2,000 meters or something. It's not like a huge world, and it's not particularly interesting, which kind of leads me into the graphics of the game. There's a lot of stuff online, and I think a lot of cherry-picked images that make this game out to look worse than it is. This game is not by any means a bad-looking game. It is not a bad-looking game. This is not some PS3 game, PS2 game. It's a pretty decent-looking game. Now, is it as good as Arkham Knight? I couldn't say for sure because I didn't do a side-by-side comparison. I believe on PC, if I had to bet, I would say Arkham Knight is probably the better game, the better-looking game. But Suicide Squad, it still looks good. I never looked at the game and was like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. But I never looked at it and was like, oh, that's ugly as shit. You know, it looks good. Like, there's not really much to say other than that. However, a lot of the characters, like the character models, their facial expressions, everything like that are pretty top-notch. They're pretty good. And the world itself is where it gets kind of like, it's good, but it's not something that I'm going to write home about. So the last thing I wanted to talk about, and you guys are going to find this out pretty quick with me, I do not like, and I am not for wokeness in video games. Okay, I don't like it. I think it's BS. And I just want people to make video games and to make video games, to have fun and, you know, have a good escapism, to just sit down and enjoy a game. There are a few things in this game that are subtle, and there are some things that are not when it comes to this. Yeah, to point a few, there's a few things I'm going to touch on, okay? And the reason I'm talking about it is because if you're like me, and for some reason you don't know about this yet, or you just want to hear more people talk about it, but for some people, it's going to bother you. And it's going to make you, depending on where your stance is on this stuff, kind of a decision maker if you're going to buy it. Okay, the first thing I'm going to talk about is the damn banner that's in the Hall of Justice. Now, here's the thing. In the Hall of Justice, you have this banner that basically says, like, everyone can be a hero or something like this, which the statement alone is a good statement. That's something good to have in the Hall of Justice, I think. You know, everyone can be a hero, you know, inspiring the world to be better, to be like these heroes, you know, that anybody can be a hero, you know, in their own way. The problem is when you put that and then behind it in this big giant banner that you can't avoid, by the way, you're going to see it when you leave and come in the Hall of Justice, is this, I don't even know if it's what flag it's supposed to it's some LGBTQ C3PO R2D2 XYZ community. I don't know how many letters are on it now. And it basically, what it basically saying is now it's taking this phrase that should just be the wording on its own. Now it's basically saying, hey, everyone can be a hero. What we really mean, though, is this community. You guys are heroes too. We welcome you. We are allies. And here's the problem with that. People playing this game don't give a shit. They don't give a shit. Okay, they want to be in the DC universe and they want to enjoy the characters and the world. They don't want to deal with 2024 Western politics. And a lot of people are like me. I don't care if you're gay. I don't care if you're trans. I don't care what you do. But don't put it and plaster it in everything that I want to play, that we want to play, and shove it down our faces. I noticed in the Hall of Justice, right, there's no country. Like, they could put everyone could be a hero and put world's flags on there. US flag, Great Britain, whatever. You know? Everybody of every nation can be a hero. That makes sense, right? We're all people, right? It doesn't matter who we sleep with. It doesn't matter the color of our skin. We can all be heroes. That makes sense. But making this is like making an unnecessary statement that adds nothing to the game. It just checks a box. It just checks a box. And that's all it's there for. Now that's subtle. I ranted about on that a bit longer than I was going to, but that's what it is, okay? The other part that's funny is when you first get there and Waller, you know, prepares you guys your clothes, you know, getting out of your rags into like your uniforms. Harley Quinn opens her locker and it's like the Arkham outfit, and she basically is just like, not an exact quoting, but it's basically, oh hell no, I am not wearing this, you know. And then she goes and somehow magically, I don't know where she got it, finds her clothes that she wears in the game, and how she's fashion forward. So you can definitely tell that one's more inspired by Margot Robbie's Suicide Squad Harley Quinn, but more censored. So you can tell that's definitely more the inspiration. So whatever, I don't even know if that Arkham one is going to be a DLC costume or not. I hope it is, but it probably won't be. The other thing is we talked about a little bit, but with character deaths, okay, everybody but the Wonder Woman's death is terrible. Like, the way they even lose, let alone die, is kind of pathetic. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Wonder Woman's the only one they treat respectfully. Like, she actually fights and gets beat by Superman, which you can believe. The way she gets beat, it's a little, I don't know. That whole scene's interesting. Like, it has some pros and cons, but yeah, she basically gets vaporized by Superman's heat vision, which goes back to the point, if the Justice League are clones, Wonder Woman was never under control from Brainiac, so she's like dead. I don't know what they're gonna do to bring her back. Maybe they do some weird thing with that too, but she's like dead. The other thing, this is the one I'm gonna touch on a little bit. There's a couple more things with this. Character designs. Okay. Now what you're going to see on screen is you're going to see the Justice League outfits that they are in the game, and you're going to see some just images off Google Images, some of just their classic designs or their comic book designs, some of their comic book designs, and you're going to see that every single member of the Justice League, minus one, their designs are pretty much some type of close reiteration of their classic outfit, right? You look at Batman in the game and you're like, yeah, I mean, that's another take of a suit. You know, it looks like his bat suit. Superman looks like his classic outfit. Green Lantern, John Stewart, yep, looks like a Green Lantern. The Flash, yeah, it looks like a Flash suit. And then you look at Wonder Woman, and almost every, there are Wonder Woman, you know, comics where she's wearing pants and this stuff, but most of her iconic designs, right? You have the OG classic design, you know, but then you have this like modern classic, more modern classic design where she kind of, you know, she's wearing like her like armored skirt and the shin guards and all this cool, like, you know, battle warrior-esque outfit. Looks badass. It's awesome. It's one of my favorite style looks, right? It's very iconic. Like, this is like, anybody who sees this is going to go, yep, that's Wonder Woman. You know, just like you would the other Justice League. The Wonder Woman in this game, I know there's some people that like this Wonder Woman. Hey, you like it, you like it. I hate it. I hate her design with a passion. I think it's one of the worst Wonder Woman designs I've ever seen. Okay? I don't like it. I don't like it. Some of you might. I don't. I prefer kind of more her classic look, or take on her classic look. You know, I like more of like what you see in the comics. You know, my girlfriend, even when I was playing the game and Wonder Woman appeared, the first thing she said was, "This doesn't look like Wonder Woman." And the only thing I can think of is why they did that. They didn't want her to look hot. They didn't want her to look hot and feminine. They wanted to cover her up, and they wanted to make her look more modern. You know, when I think of Wonder Woman, she should be attractive. She's very attractive in the comics. When she shows up, people are just like, wow, she's very beautiful. Like the prettiest woman they've ever seen. And she's feminine and she's badass. But in this, for some reason, they decided that they didn't want that iconic look. They wanted to make sure she's covered from neck to toe minus an arm. And I know Injustice did this too. Like in Injustice, they kind of gave her that pants look and kind of censored her a little bit. But you could change outfits. You could do like the New 52 or some of the other outfits. And this, you can't. You're stuck with that. You can't just be like, hey, let's make him look like this. You're stuck with it. But hey, if you like this Wonder Woman design, great on you. I think it's the worst design I've ever seen. But some people, it's their favorite. And good for you. But yeah, it's just not my Wonder Woman. It's not the Wonder Woman that I was hoping for. However, Monolith Studios, assuming the character is going to look like the teaser they revealed, what, a couple years ago? That's a Wonder Woman game I'm excited for. That looks like Wonder Woman. So, why Rocksteady didn't design Wonder Woman like she is in that one, I have no idea. But that's pretty much why I wanted to touch on that. There's a lot more I wanted to talk about. But basically, to sum it up, because I know I kind of ranted on and on. Like I said, this is just me talking very casually because I don't want to do a script and do retakes and this and that. I'm just going to talk, and if it sounds silly, it sounds silly. So it is what it is. But basically, to sum it up, and by the way, I should have said this before. I played this on PS5. Okay. So everything you see is on the PlayStation 5. For some reason, even on my 4090, I couldn't get this game to run, like maintain 60 FPS, okay? Basically, the only couple pros I have, the few pros, is I like the gunplay and the traversal is fun. I think you will like this game, or at least tolerate it, if you really like looter shooters and you just like shooting stuff. You'll probably have some fun with that. Because I like games where you kind of have a grind and you can go and level up and get new loot and get bigger numbers. I do like that stuff. It's just not the best one out there that you can get. If you really, really like DC, you just love to be in the DC universe, okay, and you like that gunplay, you'll probably find some enjoyment here. On PS5, it looks pretty good. Again, I played mostly on an OLED TV, and I thought the game looked great. I don't think it looks bad, but it doesn't look, again, super amazing either. And I like the dialogue. I like the banter between the characters. I thought some of it was funny and some of it was interesting, and just the way they reacted to stuff was often pretty funny. But the cons for me, like the story was disappointing. Missions are not very exciting or interesting. With the exception of the first, like, well, I'll say even the Batman boss fight in the beginning, like all the stuff where you're kind of like being hunted is fun. Like it's a cool, Batman definitely has the best fight scenes, or the best, well, boss encounter plus, I don't know, intro encounter is definitely the best. And the progression's not very rewarding. It's not a very good progression system. It doesn't feel like you're really gaining a lot, minus a few select skills that actually change up the gameplay or have some ability that is interesting. And it does have woke elements to it. Whether you like it or not, it does. Take it for what it's worth. If that's stuff that you think you're gonna like, then by all means. I don't rate things on a scale of 1 to 10. Okay, when I talk about games, it's mainly if I think you should get it or not, or if it's kind of that, wait for a sale, get it now, don't buy type of thing. I honestly can't recommend this at full price for anybody, unless you're just a die-hard like DC fan, and again, the gameplay looks interesting to you. Because outside of that, there are better games to play right now. Go buy Tekken. Go buy Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. Go buy Helldivers. Like, you will get your money's worth, your money's worth from those. Probably wait till Final Fantasy VII Rebirth comes out. Probably get more out of your buck for that. I don't necessarily think it's a don't touch. I think there's still things that are good in this game, but again, it's kind of up to you. It's kind of up to what you've seen, if you like it or not. Because everybody's gonna be different, right? And I don't know. I don't know if this game's gonna last very long. I think we're definitely gonna get season 1. But I don't know if they'll finish the roadmap, or if that's it. The roadmap's there, and once that's done, it's done. I don't know. I don't know what the player life is on console. On Steam, it's not very high. So luckily there's crossplay, but I have no idea what the console number is. It's probably not that great either. So anyways, thanks those of you who watched the whole video. Thanks for hanging out, listening to me rant and just talk about this. I know it's pretty late. I wanted to make this earlier, but it just didn't happen. But yeah, those are my thoughts on it. Let me know what you guys think, honestly, down in the comments. If you liked the game, if you didn't like the game, if there were some things I didn't like that you liked, vice versa, let me know. We'll have a discussion about it. I do stream on Twitch. Probably won't be streaming this, but you can catch me live most days over there. Kind of depends on the time. Follow me on Twitter. All that stuff's on the YouTube page. Or the YouTube channel, links to those, to know when I go live. But yeah, that's everything I have. Thanks you guys so much for watching, and I will see you on the next video.